Hello, welcome back to Portugal and to another video where today we're going to be focusing on some lighting stuff in the kitchen dining room. Our electrician is going to be back in a couple of days and we need to make some decisions about the lighting, particularly that go inside of these guys. These are the nooks that we've featured in a few videos, and one thing that we probably haven't talked about for a while is there is going to be lighting inside. In fact, there are cables already embedded in the wall ready to receive something electrical, but we don't really know what that's going to be yet. So we're going to do a few experiments today, see if we can come up with something nice and simple that looks good.
So we need to decide two things, which is what type of lighting goes in here, and then once we've decided what lighting goes in there, we then need to decide what we do in there. Because at the moment, it's a long hole that goes maybe 2/3 of the way through the wall. It's got solid sides, so there's none of this rubble infill construction on these walls, thankfully. But there's also still quite a bit of like the clay mortar, and so we need to be able to work out, are we going to put a mortar bed through it? Are we just going to lime wash everything? And that's going to be dictated by what you can see when we put a light in there.
Cool. Shall we illuminate the space and we can take a look?
This is a temporary light that we had upstairs. So we'll start with that. We do have lots of other bits and pieces to test. So if I just put this in here. Alright. Random bulb in hole test. Go. Oh, that's bright. Needs sunglasses.
And that's a frosted bulb.
Yeah, but it actually allows me to see what's going on in there. A bit dusty.
Wow. Okay, hang on a second. So that is the inside of our house. Lovely. I mean, the one difference with this nook here is the cables, they're much more visible here, so we're going to have to find a way to hide those.
Yeah, and that's why we might want to, from kind of this point back, render the walls.
Or fill it in with something.
Yeah. And this one. Oh, that's a much nicer passageway.
Are you appreciating my passageway?
It's nice and smooth.
Oh yeah, alright. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, I want to definitely try the different bulbs in here. I just want to see how much it illuminates the space.
Well,
so yeah, if the bulb is pointing in that direction, you get a nice illumination in there.
And you don't see too much of the bright bulb.
No, exactly.
Because the issue I had with this before was that it was blinding when you were looking at it.
Let me just try the other one. I'm just going to turn this other light up so it's going to go a bit dark. And I just want to see the similar thing in here.
I mean, from this angle it looks cool. As soon as you come here, I think it's too bright.
Yeah, but
It looks kind of cool like that too.
Just give me a minute.
Can you explain what you're trying to do?
Hide the bulb. So I'm thinking if the entire inside was rendered and whitewashed, and then there's a placeholder rock that the bulb sits behind, the bulb then is illuminating the back of the nook. But I just don't know if that rock then looks in the way. So then we just have to change the bulb to something that's more aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
So that we don't need to hide it. Let's see what we can do.
We have an option for that.
Let me see what we have.
So we have this bulb here, which is like a filament bulb.
It goes into what kind of...
It goes into this holder here.
Oh,
It goes in here.
Right. It's like you prepared this earlier.
Yes, I did.
Oh, it's got a fancy little...
It is a fancy little thing, yeah. I may not have made this correctly. I think that's right. Yeah, that's it. You just turn it on and test that it works.
Yes, that's how good of an electrician you are. Not,
apparently. So hang on, can you explain what happened off camera?
I didn't screw it enough.
Okay, good.
Needs practice. Okay. So the problem here with this type of bulb is you would want it to go like this. And how would you get it to go like that?
Make a rock support for it. Maybe. I mean, it's a bit cheesy, isn't it, having like a candle bulb in there? Maybe it's not, I don't know.
What else are you going to put in there? I mean, we have some other...
We have a third option.
The problem is I can't really hold it in place and then stand back and look at it.
Confusing with so much cable in there.
Yeah, and because it's not, the inside is not finished. I think it would look okay though.
Yeah, maybe.
Let me try within this other nook.
Yeah.
Just because each nook is different. It's definitely less bright.
It's less bright. You can
kind of gives it a bit more character.
You can look at the bulb without being blinded.
Yeah.
So we'd have to kind of wedge it in with some rocks.
No, so if we even cast it in cement, NHL or something, that this got sat into and the cable was in there, but the cable had enough flex that you could pull it out and wire it and then push it back in. And then we put a rock right at the back that hides the back end of this cable and the connecting junction box.
Well, let's see if we can try and rig something like that up. It's kind of crazy how much thinking and testing and experimenting and trial and error and all of that stuff that goes into something as simple as one light in one hole in one room. Okay, I see what you've done.
Looks a bit janky.
Well, there's cables everywhere, which doesn't help.
But if we made something that ended up being a place where the light fitting could sit into, and then kind of had rocks around it so that the candle holder is hidden but you can see the bulb. Looks a bit janky now, but that would be looking like that. We also have to find a way to hide those cables that are coming
out the side.
Yeah, out the side. And they can get behind the rocks and then be hidden behind the rocks as soon as we have this, whatever this thing is that holds the lamp.
Different.
GU10? GU something else?
No, G9, I think.
Okay, something else. It's a bit smaller, and I think we bought this thinking we could potentially hide this. I want to try putting it up in the ceiling and concealing it so that you actually can't see the light at all, the bulb at all. So, again, the cables will eventually all get hidden. Ignore all of these other cables. It's like fluorescent lighting.
I mean, I kind of like the fact that the lamp is hidden though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not if you get down here, but...
Sure, but who's getting down there? You have to literally squat to see that bulb. Yeah, that's kind of what I think we should be going for.
Right.
But I want a slightly nicer light.
And a different temperature.
Yellow light, not this white, blue light.
Yeah, so the one on the left is definitely nice and warm. The one on the right is... Functional. We don't want functional, we want beautiful. So I think we have landed on something that we like. It's not necessarily the right combination of bulb and cabling situation, but we've got a nice warm glow coming from the nook. You can't see the bulb because it's been kind of tucked up towards the top, and we've tried to hide some of the cables with a couple of stones. And what I like about this is it's showing off the construction of the house. It's showing like the real stone rather than something that's painted or rendered or lime washed. and it's nice and dim. You can't see anything that's kind of blinding or casting too many shadows, and it's just a really nice soft effect. And you can even see in the background it's got this lovely warm glow, which I think will be really nice to have with some other mood lighting in the dining area. So I guess we just have to work out how we're going to rig all this stuff up so it's a bit more permanent, and so that you can't see the cables coming out the front, and all the cables that are in there are hidden in some way. So that will be the next challenge.
But because that was something that we didn't really have a solution for yet, we thought we would do some cleaning instead. Whilst Kylie worked on the insides of the nooks, I worked on the outsides with a wire brush, a small screwdriver, and some sandpaper.
So a couple of people have queried that this creates a rather large cold bridge. In some cases, and definitely in this one, you could see the line coming from the outside.
Oh, like the external render?
Yes, the external render. So this hole would have gone all the way through, I think, originally, and then they came back and shoved something in it and then rendered over it. And so, yes, it creates a cold bridge. And so I'm putting some hemp lime to plug all the holes that I can, because we don't need to see all the way to the outside, or to the outside stone.
No, of course not.
And in doing that, it kind of tidies it up a little bit in there. And then...
Because you were worried about all the earth and clay falling, and then...
So I've scraped out loads of the kind of clay mortar from all of the join lines. And I am going to go and put in a tiny bit of the hemp lime plaster. And then we might, when we come to put the cables in, try and use some of these, let's call them grout lines, to feed the cables in and then come and put a finished plaster over it. But the hemp plaster that's right at the back, you don't really see that it's hemp plaster because it's so far back in there.
Let me have a look. And we've got the bright light in there just so we can see what's going on. That will not be the final light.
No, I'm using it to work. And then the plan is, right at the back, is to find a pretty looking stone, if, you know, things exist like that. Let's see. And kind of just, once it's all dried up, place it there.
Oh yeah.
So that there's less of the white.
And we'll put a few of them, I think, to layer it, give it a bit more texture.
Let me show you this one that I've also been playing with. Oh,
It's a bit fiddly, isn't it?
a bit fiddly. But by the time you have a couple of those in there...
Use cable that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's gonna look nice. Gonna look nice.
yeah, and with the softer lighting, the pointing and the lime and stuff just won't be as noticeable.
Cool. Well, I guess you can crack on with that, and I'll crack on with my vinegar brushing on the outsides of these things.
To anyone who's thinking of doing this, let me tell you,
Don't do it.
it takes a lot of patience.
Patience is one thing that we neither of us have much of.
Some days we do, most days we don't.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so after a little bit more thinking, head scratching and experimentation, and a trip to the hardware store, we have settled on a plan for the actual lighting part of this project. Now that I'm bored of cleaning and scrubbing the stones, I'm going to wire these up, but we're going to go with the tiny G9 bulbs. We found a warmer version and a slightly dimmer version. So this is an equivalent of a 40-watt bulb, but is actually 2 watts, 200 lumen, and a warm white, 3000 degrees Kelvin, which is nice and warm. Oh, I need to get some new cable strippers. So there we go. The earths together, the neutrals together, and the lives together. Wonderful. Nice and simple. Which means I really hope I didn't cock it up. This whole thing is probably a bit overkill, but it's the most fiddly part of the whole thing. Where did that go? We'll hide that in the back there. Nice one.
Good morning. Welcome to another adventure. We have a problem here, whereas if we screw that in with a normal screw, it would disappear. So we get a screw through there. We screw that in like that. That then goes into there, he says.
That is very clever.
And then that can squeeze up until you get the right depth. And if it goes all the way through, we have to chop a bit off. That's okay. You got the idea.
Yep.
I'll scrap that video and we'll do another one.
That is par for the course around here.
Thank you. Yeah, just tighten them up a fraction, not too much.
So it is time for a bit of an undo redo. When Mark was here, he told me that we should get something like this instead of all of the cables and clips and these slightly flimsy, shall we say, boxes that we'd use to do all the wiring in here, which means I have to undo all of the ones I've already done, take them apart and put them in with these. It's the same concept, join all the lives, join all the neutrals, join all the earths, but it's in a nice dedicated junction box and doesn't have any of these crappy old Wago clips that are all big and bulky, not very nice. So there we go. We are always happy to learn new things, do a better job, and
Always?
Reluctantly willing to undo and redo. And that reminds me that we've done some new t-shirts. If you're the kind of person who likes t-shirts from your favourite online personalities, if you will, we've got some, well, I won't spoil it for you.
No,
Go and check it out. But one of them is an undo redo t-shirt. In fact, I'm thinking of doing a whole series of undo redo t-shirts. So go and check them out. Link in description. We'll make a nice gift for yourself or for someone else, perhaps. So you wanted to show the lovely people what you've been working on?
What I really wanted to do was to explain to someone that might be interested in doing this in their own home that today is day 3 of us doing these nooks. Just to make you aware of how much time goes into it. So we spent a day and a half cleaning the outside while I was cleaning the inside and hemping it. Then there's a little bit of time doing the electrics. And now there's going to be another day's worth of me going back in and putting the finished plaster in over the electrics that are in there. You have to have a lot of patience. It's very slow work, but it's going to look beautiful. This hole here is really difficult. So this wall goes up to like here by the time I get my hand in there. And so it's a lot of twisting of the back and the shoulders and trying to get material all the way to the back without getting it all on the stones. So yeah, if you're thinking of doing it, give yourself a lot of time. Find some days where you have a lot of patience, because it's time consuming and a little bit fiddly and detail oriented.
So would you say today is one of the days where you have lots of patience?
I probably don't, but I'm forcing myself to be patient because, I mean, we wanted this done 2 days ago, but sometimes things don't go to plan. I mean, we will have spent this entire week on these nooks and getting the second fix done. And that is why this project is taking so long. 2 people, 3 and a bit days to create some feature lights.
Let's hope it's worth it.
That's beautiful.
We're never going to get it done at this rate.
Oh, I know.
Okay, it is the end of the day and the end of this project. It was a surprisingly long and fiddly one, although maybe that shouldn't be surprising because most of the things we do are exactly like that. But I think for the first time in a while, we've got like a big reveal at the end, because we did something that looks kind of cool and we're really pleased with it. So shall we show you what we've done?
Would you like to do the honours and flick the magical switch?
Look, thermostat.
Yes, and it works and everything.
And then here's a question. Why is it in Portugal they have the switches in this orientation? I would normally think this means on and that means off, but it's the other way around. This is not the first property that this has been done to, so I think it must be an EU thing or a Portugal thing.
No one's listening to you, they're just looking at the beautiful nook. So have you seen?
I don't know if it was worth 3 days of effort. No, it does look very good.
It's like the first thing that we've got, which is like a finished thing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in the future we'll be able to turn off the main light in the room and just have the nooks on. But at the moment they're all on the same run, and we're going to later do virtual switching so that we can switch that off. And then it would look even nicer because you would just see the light in the nooks rather than also having the room lit.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Looks better in real life than on camera.
You said earlier in the week that it was a bit like a Moroccan tavern.
Yeah, I still stand by that. But it's got the perfect amount of rustic charm.
Yeah, it's actually got, we've put a lot more rocks in there than I originally anticipated.
Can you do that again without falling over?
We've ended up putting in a lot more rocks than we originally anticipated, and I think that's for a couple of reasons. mostly to hide the cables. But when it was just this long kind of
Channel.
yeah, it didn't look very interesting, but with the rocks kind of piled, some at the front, some at the back, it gives it much more of the story, which is, these walls are built out of this stone, etc., etc. They're definitely growing on me.
Good.
No, I like them now. I like them a lot. I wish that the stones were cleaner.
So yes, there we go. The end of a quite tiring and tedious and fiddly, but very rewarding project. And I think they look really nice. And it's a nice bit of focal point, feature, I don't know what to call it. I like them. And I think they're going to look great in here when the whole place is done. But of course, there is a lot more to do. And so we will be cracking on with that, probably tomorrow or over the weekend or something. There's some more feature detailing to do, but the next big thing is the floor, so definitely stick around for that. But that's it for this one. We will see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Bye-bye!